We all want more in life and in sales. Sales is the mechanism to fund our life. And through that mechanism is a transformation from A to B, B to C, and C to D. So if we understand the process of evolution, of transformation, which we're going to talk about here in a second, is then we can get to the result that we want faster, accelerated. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go through the pit. It's supposed to say pit to peak, not peak to peak. Transformational selling system that shifts an identity of a prospect and yourself to collapse time and turn every prospect into a hell yes. So this is a transformational framework. And I'm going to give you some backstory on it, talk about myself, so you guys kind of know a little bit more about myself and my background. So I've been selling in sales for 20 years in B2B, fitness, health, high ticket over the last 5 years. I've closed 15 million in high ticket sales, just high ticket sales, not including other sales. I'm a founder of my company's Limitless Impact. I've done multiple $100,000 months in straight W-2 commissions in the last few years. I've made over 2 million in commissions in the last couple of years as well. I'm a fractional VP consultant, work with companies to build companies and scale companies through sales as the mechanism. And I've worked with and trained hundreds of sales reps at this point. So more about myself. I'm a transformational architect, at least that's people would call me, the transformational architect. Creator of Pit to Peak identity selling system. I have a savage sales system as well. But really what I do is I align an internal operating system of a high performer that's not performing at their peak, and I align it with what they want. And when we upgrade the operating system, they all of a sudden get what they want faster. So that's what I do, and that happens through identity evolution. So certified in a lot of things, somatic breath work, somatic shadow work, mental performance coach. So I have the internal component and the sales component together. And that's the rewiring that happens, and when that happens, sales becomes easy. So that's my backstory. I'll tell you a little bit more of that it wasn't always this way. Like life is really good, but it wasn't always this way. That's the Russell Brunson line, as you all know. So I'm going to tell you about my backstory. For 15 years, I was a liar, but I didn't know I was a liar. I struggled with massive addiction, food addiction, 3 to 5 times a day. I was completely out of my mind, checked out, numb. My kids suffered, my ex-wife suffered. But I told myself the lie that everything was fine. And everything wasn't fine. This is actually an image when I started to look at myself. I did a process with a group that acknowledged the truth that I'm a liar, that I was lying. And this was the moment, a catalyst moment for me. So I was 100 pounds heavier multiple times in my life. I had this looking good mask on, like I was afraid to show the world one way, and I was operating another way. And ultimately, in 2016, I made a decision to rebuild myself as a man and heal and find healing through a decision that I made. I didn't know what the heck, where I was going. I just made a decision. And so from that point, life got better. Life got great. I got my power back as a man. But the problem is I had another breakdown. I filed for divorce in 2020. I was broke. I had no money. And this picture here was where I was living in my car, but I found a place for like $1,000 a month. And this was luxury to me. And this is where I built my kingdom, from this place. I got into high ticket in 2020. And in 2020, first year, I made a declaration that I was going to make money. So I made $120,000 in commissions. Year 2, $250,000. Year 3, $500,000 in commissions. And then I went up to $700,000 the year after that. And I share that with you because I'm showing you what's possible here. I mean, I got these large commission checks, $100,000 in commissions. People are like, is it real? Where's the bank statements? Where's the invoices? So, I got top closer at these companies. I broke records. I was top closer. Jeremy Miner gave me a Breitling watch because I won in 24 hours the most sales, 1.1 million closed out of about 25 people, sitting there with Jeremy Miner and all these other guys closing deals. And ultimately, life got good, traveled, right? This is really what matters most. And this is what I'm going to come down to. The real win is my kids. So I'm a father of 4, and this was the real impact. And I realized the whole journey, this is what it's all about. This is what drove me the whole time, to have a place for my kids. And ultimately, the impact I have today is in the guys I train, the companies I train, every single week. Like, I get so fulfilled because I'm living my passion. I'm living my mission, and I'm giving back. And it feels so good to give and want nothing in return. And the byproduct is fucking money. Holy shit, the money just flies in because of who you be inside of that passion. So 3 things I'm going to share with you, and then we're going to get into the frameworks I'm going to share with you that you all get to apply today, is that I realized the more I grew as a man, the more money I made. Bottom line, I stopped doing sales training, I stopped learning scripts, I stopped everything that traditional everyone else was doing. I grew and my money grew. That's how I kept doubling, right? Breaking ceilings in my own mindset and my own self-imposed limitations. And this is exactly what I do with the guys that I work with, the women that I work with, is I break the limitations and ceilings. Business owners, salespeople, it doesn't matter who it is. We put our own self-imposed limitations. That's why we're not where we want to be. The other thing is I realize is when I transform my internal game, so did my bank account. And ultimately, and this is where it comes back to all of you, is that sales is a game of transformation. It's a game of transformation. And it is our job, we're all selling something, a product or service, is to take them into what I call a transformational ceremony. A transformational ceremony to get them from not knowing who you are to create safety, right, trust right away, and take them through a process where you're shifting beliefs, not through a tactic, but shifting beliefs and emotional capacity because they feel compelled to say yes from a place of desire because of who you're being inside that conversation. So why pit to peak? Well, the core 3 problems before we get into the framework, by the way, this framework is death and rebirth. So every sales conversation is a death and rebirth of who they believe themselves to be. Because identity is anything that you say after the words, I am. So they're coming on the sales call with an identity, right? I am tired of this. I am sick and I am stressed. It's your job as a sellings to take them through to say, I can, I want to, I'm excited to. That's the transformation. So the problem with most sales methods is that most are transactional, not transformational, right? But that's what we're taught and trained, like we have to be transactional, meaning we don't know it's being transactional, but it's actually like scripty, it's very like this and then logical, this and this. And the problem with that is you start getting in your head. How many of you get stuck in your head a little bit and you're like, fuck, like I don't know like where to go or like the right words, and you get stuck? Yeah. So the problem about that is that you're no longer present. And people buy when you're present. People buy for this 2 reasons. One of them is they feel like it. And if you cause them to feel a certain way because they see you're not present, then you're causing them to not want to move forward because they feel kind of weird inside. And you're causing internal sales resistance. So by getting out of your head and selling transformation, you no longer are focusing on the next right thing. You're focusing on being with them, and then the next right thing will come inside of a process. The other problem with other sales methods is that identity is skipped. So like they're pushing the sale to move it forward with the tactics, but they're not shifting the identity of the person, right? So they're actually pushing the person, right, rather than actually changing the person. I'm going to say that again. They're not changing the person, they're pushing the person. That makes sense? Okay. Then the service level discovery. Surface level. I talk to so many people every day, salespeople, people that sell, and they don't know how to go deeper. They don't know how because no one's trained them to go deeper. And so they stay surface level. and they haven't done any of their own internal work to actually ask emotional questions because they're not even in touch with their own emotions. So an aligned person that sells has a little bit of like understanding of their own emotions or feels them. And when they do, they all of a sudden what? It becomes easy to ask about emotions. So let's go through the core difference really briefly. Transformational leadership. So this selling is transformational leadership. You're leading them down a pathway of transformation. So here are the 10 stages. I highly suggest that you take pictures of this because what I'm giving you all, I've never shared publicly. This is the first time in 3 years as I've been building out this proprietary framework, I've shared this publicly. This only goes to the guys paying me $15,000. So you guys get it. You guys get all this. So we're going to go through this whole thing. I just want to make sure I got enough time. What's that? Yeah, for sure. Just want to make sure I'm looking at my time here. So this is death and rebirth of a prospect, right? This is identity selling. This is the transformational ceremony. So we're going to go through this. I'm going to break this down with you all. And I'm going to pre-frame this up front. I want you to not remember most of this shit. I want you to remember some of it and take 1 or 2 things I'm going to share with you and apply those 1 or 2 things tomorrow or today, and you will make more sales. I'm going to give you the overview. I'm going to go deep. I'm going to skip some parts. The parts I feel like are most relevant, I'm going to go deeper on. But again, take one thing and apply it. I'm so big on one thing and apply. So when I go through this, take one thing and apply. And if you have questions, I'm here. So over the next few days as well. All right. So setting the sanctuary. We're going to go through this. There are 4 things that must happen. What's a sanctuary? It's a safe place. Some people get on a sales call and they're like, hey, what's going on? And like, it's high energy. It's like this and that. What I discovered is that 4 things need to happen in the first 5 minutes of a call. Time frame, right? It gets so weird when like you both don't know how long each other has, right? So yeah, hello, we'll report for a minute or so. And it's like, hey, take the leadership frame. And it's like, hey, we've got 60 minutes for the call today. Just want to make sure you've got the time. Undistracted and present here with me today. That's it. You're just pre-framing what you expect and make sure you're aligned to that. So many times, yeah, you guys ever been on a call where like they had to leave early? Anybody? Yeah, it's like, well, that's your fault. So I'm going to say this concept as well. This is a whole other thing I teach called embodied influence. If they don't say yes at the end of the call, it's your fault because of who you're being. You caused that to happen, and you created that from what you did or didn't do, what you said or didn't say. You were the direct cause of that. So this safety frame here is if you didn't ask that question on the time frame, and if 30 minutes comes in, they're like, what the heck? It's like, it's your fault. You created that from what you didn't say or said. So, focus frame. It's simple, the focus for the call. We all want to be led, so focus the direction of the call. This is what we're going to do today. It's not an agenda, it's just this is what we're going to do. Where you at? Where you want to go? We'll figure out what's in the way. If I can help, I can help. Like, don't overthink it. It's simple. And then the next one is the win frame. This is massive. I started doing this a couple years ago. I used to sell to investors. I sold about 150 into how I made so much in commissions was through selling in financial services. And what I discovered was that people want to know that you know what they want to know. So like I discovered asking them what would be a win for you today, what's important for you, because then they're being heard, they're being received, and they know that you understand what they want. When you don't do this, it becomes weird. It's like the whole time they're thinking, I hope that they give me the opportunity to go over these things that I want. So ask them the question, what would make this call a win for you today? Again, there's like 6 variations of this. I like to just go deeper and say, what's most important for you today to get out of the call? Then fucking cover it. And probably only that, by the way. And ask all your questions aligned to that, right? Because that's important. And I would go even deeper here, depending on what you're selling. When you ask them this question, what else is important to you? What else? Not why, but what else? Okay, that, and acknowledge it back. That's important to you? Okay, what else? Okay, what else? Okay, what else? And I'm writing this down. And then I repeat it back. So this is important, the price is important, like the product's important, this is important. So like this is what I gotta cover. I just saved like 20 minutes off the call. All right, y'all tracking? Okay. The win frame, the permission frame. Now, and by the way, this order is really important because the permission frame, you now have permission because you gave them their nervous system like safety of like, this is what I want. Now it's like, I need to let you know that do I have permission to challenge you? Do I have permission to coach you? Do I have permission to be all for you so we can get what you want faster? Be who I need to be for you, right? What that does is it makes the rest of the call, like the permission for you to go there. You know what I mean? Like when it's like so many people that are selling something, like they're afraid to ask the deeper questions because you don't have freaking permission. Get permission. Just this alone, you're gonna like close more deals because they're not gonna leave the call early. So that's the first stage. Now, any questions? Open up a quick. And you had a top question, yeah. Can you speak up a little bit for me? Yeah.
So I've been on call with my like coaching program or scaling program for the agency, and I feel like when they've asked me that website question, I'm trying to do like the selling for them, and it just irks me. Do you guys ever have that, especially when it's more outbound than inbound?
So what's your question? I'm not clear.
They ask like,
what's your question for me though? Yeah.
On this call, right?
Okay. That question, you mean? Yeah, it's a good question. The intention of the question is to cut to the chase to know what's most important to them, so you don't waste time on the call. If you know what's... Yeah, it's just simply to understand what is important to them so you cover it. And do not skip over that part. Get very crystal clear. They're going to come up with stories and narratives and all this stuff. They're coming in, blah, 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 blah. No, like, what do you want to get out of me today? Like, tell me, what is it? Nope, I hear that, but like, what do you want to get out? What's the most important thing, right? So you can make sure you cover it. Otherwise, you're going to waste their time and your time.
Question if they're like, I want to know how much this costs and
Yeah.
what this program is, right? And it's more surface level. How do you just say, okay, well,
Oh, we'll get to that. No problem. Let me ask you a question. Lead. Be a leader, right? Not a problem. We'll get to that. Get permission. May I ask you a question? Or let me ask you a question. Okay? So we're going to save the questions. I realize I've got 20 minutes, so we're going to jam fast, okay? The Safe Commander, I teach embody and influence. The way of being in that energy, in that first stage, is calm, curious, emotionally safe, warm, and open. That's who you're being in the conversation, right? That's really important. You can't shift your energy and then come back down. It's like, yeah, be yourself, but then come back down. Okay, that's really important. So the core mindset here is I create deep trust with my grounded presence by being the permission for them to feel and be seen. So you're causing that and creating that in them so they feel seen, so they feel heard. And then you can go anywhere. You can lead them to the promised land. Northstar Activation. So this is really important. So one of the things I discovered is that I want to know immediately, because I've done thousands of sales calls, and I've realized I want to know exactly what do they want. Like, why are they here and what do they want? Why are they here? What do they want? Why are they here? What do they want? So the first question I ask them, my lead is, why are you here? Why'd you show up? You didn't have to. You could have been somewhere else. I don't care the ads. You know, there's the question of like, Oh, what was it about the ads that made you show up? Like, get rid of the surface level fucking questions. All right, I know you all know the questions. Why are you here? Why'd you show up? Be genuinely curious about that. Got it. So you're here because this. Okay? Why are you really here? I'd like to go deeper. Why are you really here? Why are you really here? Depending on where you're at with the prospect, with the person. And then you want to get this is massive. You want to get their North Star. What's the tangible outcome? What's the 90-day outcome? This is important because this is where we're going the whole conversation. We want to anchor this in now. And it's got to be a number. They're going to tell you, I want to make more money. Okay, if your program is 90 days, in the next 90 days, like if I can wave a magic wand, what's the number that you would be so freaking happy with that you'd be like, hell yeah, let's go? Or however you frame that. What's the number you want more in the next 90 days? $20,000. Okay, so you want $20,000 more a month on top of what you're doing now, right? Yes. Okay, so where are you at now? So you compare what they want versus where they're at. You want a business that's doing $500,000 a year. Okay, where's the business now? Right? Is it really $500,000 or is it $1 million? Okay, it's $1 million. Okay, so where are you at now? Now we have a gap within the first 5-7 minutes of a call. Okay? That's the comparison frame. Then we go into the stage 3 current reality, the pit. The pit is where we discover what is not working. That's it. That's it. What is not working in their current reality. So many people complicate this. They go through the X-person, salesperson questions. They go through these perfect questions. With transformational selling, it's simple. What's not working? Why is it not working? Literally, if you just ask them, based on where you're at, what's not working about it? Why do you feel it's not working? Right? So we have the anchor North Star. And then there's a lot of stuff that happens here. So this facts, feelings, focus is the frame I like to teach. Basically, I teach in frames, and if you understand this, you just rotate this throughout the conversation. So the facts is the situation. The amount of money they have, what's not working, what results are you getting that's most frustrating, what results do you want that you don't have right now? Okay, what are you doing right now to create that? You're just getting the facts. This is not emotions, this is not stories. It's important to divide facts, feelings, and focus. Facts is numbers. Facts is what's happening in the business, right? It's our job that we sell is to get clear on asking their facts. They're going to go in a story. They're going to go into narratives. It's our job to stop them and say, look, I hear you got that going on over there, but what are the facts about this? So you all need to know what are the fact questions you must ask. What are your discovery 7 to 8 questions that you need to know about the current reality? And then asking them, for every fact, there's a feeling around it. So here's the fact. My business is producing $200,000 a month, or $20,000 a month. Well, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? Oh, I'm at zero in my bank account. I haven't saved any money in 5 years. Okay, how do you feel knowing that you wake up every day like with no savings in the bank account? When that shows up in your current reality, what feeling comes up? So these are feeling questions. You link the fact to the feelings. You're actually teaching them essentially how to feel from the fact, right? And then the focus is what created this reality. So the focus is the mindset and it's the behaviors that led them to create these facts. It's so simple, right? But it makes sense. So it's what they are currently doing or not doing. That's why they're in this current reality. So these are the things is why they haven't moved forward. Their current focus is fucked. Otherwise they'd be where they want to. They'd be at the North Star. It's why they're showing up. So now that you all know to separate facts, feelings, and focus, right? When you just ask focus, you can now start to see when they're getting into like the focus. They're like talking about what they did in the past, their failed attempts. But what if you can intentionally ask them these questions and line them up? Okay. So you're making $5,000 a month. Okay, cool. How do you feel knowing that's been happening for the last 5 years? Got it. Like, what's causing that? Like, what are you doing or avoiding what are you avoiding right now that's causing you to stay there? And these are patterns of behaviors, right? So the energy here is the calm surgeon. So this is the way of being. I call this an embodied leader style. There's 7. I'm only going to go through 2 of them today. The core principle, this is the mindset, right? The mindset when you're extracting and doing surgery and the discovery. The mindset is I slow down to understand and extract the truth like a master surgeon. And I am an investigator of truth. That is your job when you're with somebody, to understand their truth. Their truth. Because if you don't get to the truth, you can't even create their future. Because it's built on fantasy, not the truth. Right? And these are the ways of being. It's interesting because someone I was with, they had a surgery on their foot. I remember going to the doctor, and the doctor was so calm, and he was surgical, asking questions like for 20 minutes. There was no fixing. There was no solution. He's like, question, question, question. And I was blown away. I started recording it. I was like, I got to listen to this. This is so cool. So your job is to extract. Do not give a solution. How many of you are giving a solution right now in the first 15 minutes? Raise your hand. Just curious. Okay. No solution, no fixing, none of that stuff. That's not your job in the beginning. All right. So we're going to go to the next one if it comes up. Huh. That's interesting. Come on. Ah, here we go. Okay. Yeah. All right, we should be good. Let's keep going. All right, is this helpful for you all, by the way? Yeah. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go through the whole thing because it'd probably take me 3 hours. So yeah.
Do you?
I train every week 3 hours on this stuff, so fitting it in an hour, I'm trying. Yeah.
Do you approach this differently with more sophisticated prospects? Like if you're selling to like a business owner or somebody that's kind of knows a lot more sales stuff, do you approach that differently than if you're selling to like random guy on the street for a fitness offer that's never bought anything like this in his life?
Humans are humans. The process is the same. And anyone knows that, you know that. Like psychology, emotional triggers, and the way humans actually behave and want to be spoken to, heard, and felt and seen, it's the same principles, yeah.
The reason I ask is sometimes if I get on a call and I'm like, oh, some guy's like going through a script or asking questions, I'm like, I've got on calls like ready to buy, and somebody just missed every single signal.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you're asking, like, you're making me not want to work with you now. From like, so I'm just curious if you approach it a little bit differently or not.
Let me say this, every process works. You have a phenomenal process. We've talked about it. Every process works, but there's always an upgrade. That's what I'll say. So like even when I'm teaching now, again, take 1 or 2 things and apply it. Then you don't have to do the whole process. Like it took me years to build this process, and to master it so like it's who you be is a whole nother conversation, right? So like just your process and then add pieces to it, right? Add elements to it. Yeah. Yeah, that's all.
I think based on what you said too, like the frames at the beginning, where it's like, hey, what are you here for? Like
Yeah.
you would answer, hey, these are the questions I have, so that would help to steer the conversation to like a higher level executive, something like that, you know, because you're there showing up as like, hey, I can help in these ways, you know. So the frame I think kind of covers some of the gray areas that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And especially when like, I know some people are like really trying to like dig into the pain. I'm like, bro, I know like it's just not enough. I don't respond well to that personally.
Well, I would invite you to look within of maybe it's something internal in you, possibly, that what my experience working with people is that when someone has struggle with asking pain questions or doesn't want to go there, selling, you or whoever, it's because there's something internally that they're projecting onto the prospect. They're afraid to go there, so there's some type of internal thing going on, right? So, and believe me, I would never have gone to the pain 4 years ago even until I did my own discovery of my own pain. It's uncomfortable. It's not easy. But I've also reverse engineered a process, call this the pain protocol, and actually how to do it, which I'm going to get through with you guys if I have time. So there's a way to do it and be effectively. So let's go through this. Let's continue to go through it. Okay. All right. Come on. Come on. Oh, okay. So I went pretty deep here. By the way, I created these slides last night. These didn't exist. That's why I wasn't at dinner. I created 60 slides till midnight last night. So it is worth it for you guys. All right. So here's the pit. We want to put them in the pit. We want to put the prospect in the pit. The pit's not what's working. We want them to see the pit and feel the pit. It's important to see the pit and feel the pit. Now, inside of this, we go back to facts, feelings, and focus. Okay, now, let's see. I have an example here. Yeah, I put an example here last night. So real quick, so because like here's what I share, and then like what does it actually look like for your business? Here's the facts of what's not working. Working 50, 60 hours a week, but income is capped. Fact. There's no story in that. This is 0 passive income streams and no assets compounding. Feelings. Frustrated, stressful, guilty, and anger. How do you feel about knowing that? What does that feel like for you? This is the pain points. I call it the emotional gate starts to open up. Okay, what's the focus that created that? Right? You're avoiding doing what? What are you avoiding? Avoiding researching, scrolling, going on Zillow, right? Past attempts. So you're getting their history of what's creating their current reality to today. And then we penetrate the pit. This is the fun part. We enter the pit and we penetrate the pit. By the way, this is no different than human transformation, right? So my process, if I draw it on a whiteboard, it's pit to peak, right? Problem, possibility, pit to peak. It's the same thing. Current reality, desired reality. But we have to put them in the peak, or the pit, and then paint their peak. It's really simple. And then there's this gap. And you have to look at this gap and see, well, fuck, this gap is so big. And I ask them the question, how are you going to resolve this for yourself? I'm not the one that's going to resolve it right now. Like, what are you going to do to resolve this? Like, this is a big fucking mess, but I'm not going to say that. They're going to say it by seeing that gap, by seeing that reality. Well, now that's later on. We'll get to that, hopefully. But there's 4 levels of pain, or 3 levels of pain. So what I discovered is that these levels of pain are really crucial. So if you take anything from this today, it's to extract, like a surgeon, the 3 levels of pain. Pain number 1 level is the known spoken pain. I'd write that down. Known spoken pain. It's the pain that the problems they tell you on the call. So like, what's like a problem, Brian, that they show up on saying?
Like, oh, I don't have enough time to exercise.
Okay, cool. I don't have the time to exercise. Awesome. So the secret pain is what? Secret pain is they know it, but it's unspoken pain. They haven't spoken it out, the reality. So I don't have time to exercise, so showing up like that. But what's the secret pain?
Like, oh, I'm way too overcommitted, I got too many responsibilities, and I'm out of control of my schedule.
Yeah, but what's the pain? Because they're saying, they're coming on, I don't have time to exercise, but they're feeling insecure about themselves, and they look in the mirror and they feel shame and guilt. See how my tone just shifted? Yeah, that's where we go. We're getting to the cause, but we need to know what's actually underneath the surface. That's their reality every single day, and it's our job to be the calm surgeon to extract that, right? And then the source pain is really the problem. That is the unknown, unspoken pain. They have no idea that this is the root of the problem. This is really what's occurring that's causing everything. It's always one thing internal. It's always one thing external. It's always an internal roadblock, right? Which is always their focus. Remember we went to the focus? It's always their focus. Their focus is driven from the internal, right? Of what they're doing or not doing. And then there's always a sales, something they're lacking in a skill. something they're lacking that your product solves. It's always an external, right? Maybe it's accountability. We'll get to that here shortly with the bottlenecks. So 3 levels of pain. Make sense? Yeah? So if you do nothing but leave here today and you just, like, problems, how they feel about the problem, but like this, what's the unknown, unspoken, known, spoken, or unspoken, and then just like what's the root of it, right? Just that framework, like to think about. Now,
If this source pain is
yeah.
unknown, how do you get there? Is it something that you intuit based on?
I have a whole breakdown of it here. We're not going to get to the whole thing. I'm thinking where I can get to the most juice here. Yeah, so there's a series of questions. There's pain and pain points. I'm not going to go deep into that. Let's break through that. So here's just an example of a pain point bank. I always tell people that I train, people I work with, is create a pain point bank. Like if I call this the identity map. So I have my guys and everyone that I work with, they create an identity map of their prospect. So like literally it's this whole framework built out in a document. So if you know every single problem, pain point of your client before they show up and you can communicate that better than they can, sales over. Right? So I call this the identity map. So part of this is knowing the pain of your actual prospect. You should have these on a fucking note card sitting there like and using them. Why? Because you want to get to you want to get them to trigger something emotionally because people buy because they trust you and make them feel safe if they know that you know their problems and what they're feeling from those problems. So here's a couple. Can't pay my bills on time. Drowning in debt. No path to retirement. No money to invest in anything. Constantly worried about money. Well, how long you been doing, then you have the conversation on that. Right? The relationship pain. I can't take my partner on a vacation. No time with the kids. Keep disappointing family. These are pain points, right? These are the pain banks. So have these things for your whatever you sell, okay? And then there's career and business. So let's jump over to the pain protocol. Yeah, you guys want to stick in this direction?
Yeah.
Okay, I can go 10 minutes through how to close like a savage. You all close more deals right away. I can stay here. I can go a lot of directions. I can tell you how to get someone out of their head and into their body by painting the peak. I can show you exactly how to justify the cost of return on investment for your product to make it inarguable that they wouldn't say yes or they wouldn't say no. I can go through there. So where do you guys want to go right now, the last 10 minutes?
Do it all really fast.
So again, if you want to understand how to timeline the cost, so like your $10,000 thing is really contrasting versus $1 million, right? And you can contrast your price so that it's arguable they wouldn't say no, right? Or we can go deeper on the pain, or I can go into the pitch and closing like a savage and the 3 questions to ask to actually get more people to say yes. Okay, I was just like, Andrew's like, I gotta go. We got 10 minutes. I'm here. So where are we at? Where are we at? Closing. Yes. I just trained on this 3 hours last week. It was so much fun. All right. By the way, I had an example for Andrew, but we're not going to do it. Nothing. I had an example of the bottlenecks. Yeah, we'll skip that. Let's go to the closing. Okay. So by the way, again, the rise of 2.0, I'll just cover the stages, right? So we're going through a process where we're getting them to activate their future self. The first part of that is getting the logical payoff, the emotional payoff. The logical thing, oh, it's not up? That's interesting because I see it here. Oh, there it is. So when we get to their peak of what they actually want, right, just cover this, this is important, is we want to get into 2 things, the logical payoff and the emotional payoff. What is it you want? 6 months, very clear on those targets, right? And then what's the emotional payoff that happens when you get that in your life? Then we want to do is what are the non-negotiables? Non-negotiables are the decisions that they must make to cross the gap. So they're in this current reality. They want to get to this reality. There are a series of decisions that they have been avoiding, right, that we discovered inside the penetrating the pit that they have to make new decisions. It's the only way they can get what they want. So you're coaching, leading, and guiding them to make a new decision. But they're going to tell you the decisions they need to make because they're sitting there in their gap, and it's like, well, what do you know you need to do? What's the decisions you must make from here? So I call these the non-negotiables. And then there's the let go of list. So we got to get into the mind of the prospect. They have to let go of something to get something. They have to stop doing in order to do something. So what do you know you need to stop doing right now? What else do you need to stop doing? What do you let go of? What is mission freaking critical to stop doing right now? It's mindset or behavior. Okay, I got to make a decision. What's the decision? I must hire a coach. Okay, what's the decision? I must get accountability. What's the decision? I can't do this alone. They're simple decisions. They're not some complicated thing. Okay, and then we expose the gap one final time, and we go into the Savage Closing Framework. So one of my programs is called the Sales Savage Accelerator. Inside there, we master self. We do internal upgrades, and we also do the sales mastery of this framework and other frameworks as well. And we were just actually going through this last week for 3 hours. And part of this process is pre-pitching. We won't go into that right now. And then you're going into them ownership, and then you're going to the pitch. So we're gonna. You say I got 15 more minutes? Yep. Okay, cool. Let me see. All right, cool. Perfect. All right, so let's have fun with this. Did I even create more slides on this? Oh, I didn't. Okay. But we'll talk about it. Let's talk about it. All right, let's talk about it. This is the Savage Closing Sequence. This is a lot of fun. So let's say you all just pitched. By the way, your pitch should only be 3 minutes. If it's more than 3 minutes, you're causing them to say no. How many of you guys pitches more than 3 minutes? Curious.
It was.
Okay. 3 minutes. They don't need more than 3 minutes. So what I'm about to show you is these are surgical tools. They're not all necessarily necessary. They're not all necessary, but when you use them all, it's like a masterpiece. It's an artwork because it just flows and it works. It just flows. It's emotional, it's mental, it's physical, it's all the neuro-linguistic pieces of human behavior and how they respond to things. If you go through this, it's impossible they're going to say no. Now, I trained this over 3 hours last week. I can't go through it deep today. And I'd role play and body it and get it in your body. Like literally I had a guy on Zoom last week, and we're sitting there on Zoom, and we're embodying like 3 questions. I'm like, no, like be more of this, do it again, go. He's like, no, you're too much in your head, and I'm getting him out of his body because he's gotta be who he is. Otherwise, he's not in his body. So let's just go through the framework here, the value anchor. So you just pitch, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. What you're trying to discover here is just you want them to get bought in that they see the value. So I like the questions 1 out of 10. Like everything we just covered, the product, the process, how it all works, the price, because you've already pitched the price. Like how, 1 out of 10, where are you at? Is it 1, like this sucks, 10, I'm all in. Like this is incredible value. Like I know it can get me exactly where I want to go. Right? Exactly where I want to go. Right? And do not move on until it's 10. So to tell you today, just asking the question, well, for it to be a 10, like why is it a 10? They'll tell you the objections, they'll tell you the concerns, tell you all the red flags. You do not move on till you address those right there. Just talk about it. Right? By the way, here, right? We're not even pitching it. We're not even. They're not even invited to the program yet. Meaning, or whatever you're selling, like you're sharing them. Hey, I've got this thing. Can I share it? Can I talk to you about it? And you have 3 pillars or something. But that doesn't mean that you've invited them yet. They're not qualified. They're not fully qualified. Yes. Well, it's your energy. If I have so many people like they're just like they're getting them excited about something and talking about, it's your words. Yeah. And sometimes I'll like very subtly let them know in the beginning, like we'll invite you in if it makes sense. At the end, we'll figure maybe it might not, but I'll let you know. However you frame that in your own way. Yeah, you let them know. All right, so 1 out of 10.
If you're pacing an hour-long call,
Yeah.
around what time are you at this point?
Where is this at? 35 minutes in. Yeah, 35, 40 minutes in. Yeah. Step 2 is the buying questions. So this is important. People buy for 2 reasons: because they feel like it and there's no more questions. I discovered that over the years. So you got to give them the opportunity to ask questions. If there's an unanswered question is an infected objection. Y'all got that? You track that? Yes, because it's true. They won't tell you they have a question. Probably it's subconscious. They don't even know why they're not saying yes or moving forwards, because there's more questions that you haven't given them the safety and permission to ask. What other questions do you have? What questions do you have about the product? What questions do you have about me? What do you have about the timeline? Like, you got to ask them, what questions do you have? What else? What else? What else? Because that creates the number one thing that makes them move forward to feel like buying, which is desire. They're the buying pocket. Done. And this is only like a minute, by the way. This isn't like heavy. Number 3, emotional buy-in. What appeals to you most about this? They're telling you emotionally what appeals to you the most. Don't ask the question, like, how do I say? Just ask this question. What appeals to you the most? Okay, there's too many trainers or people that teach what appeals to you the most? Because it's generic. And it opens up the gate for them to emotionally share what appeals to you the most, right? And then the next question becomes why do you feel like you're ready to do the work? Because they're going to emotionally tell you why they're ready to do the work. Why do you feel like you're ready to actually finally do the work to X, Y, Z? Like for you, for anybody. They have to tell you why they're ready. Why, right? It's not why now. It's like, why do you feel like you're ready? This is hard work. Like, John has this result that you want, but he put in the freaking work. Like, why do you think you're ready to do that? Because let's all be honest, all your products, like, there's work that needs to happen. So you got to get them, like, this is not I'm going to control the conversation. This is more of, well, are you really ready to do the work? Okay, why do you feel that way? Cool. And then it's why should we invite you? This is 3 levels of emotion, by the way. Like, this gets deeper. And what I find is that last question, most people that I train, that I coach, they have so much difficulty asking this question, right? So much difficulty, because it's deep, right? But there's different ways you can ask it. Why should I invite you? Why do you think we should bring you in? Like, we got this special club, right? Why do you think we should bring you into the club? Like, it's a little bit more less uncomfortable for some people, but why should we invite you in? Why should we bring you into the brotherhood? Why should we bring you into the 7-figure CEO? Like, it's real, right? We got this podcast agency. We got JJ Virgin crushing it over here. We got the big guys. Like, why should we bring you into the service? Why? Like, I'm really curious, right? You know? So
Such a valid question.
it is. And it's not a tactic, because you have a fucking gated service. You all have incredible services. You should not let everyone come in. The only reason you would is if you're operating from scarcity. We want the right people in our programs. I want the right people, right? Absolutely. I've had shitty people and they don't do the work and they're not really emotionally bought in, and I'm like, get out, take your money back. You all know what I'm talking about? Yeah, totally. So, next one is qualify frame. So this is something that actually Zach and I had a conversation about 6 months ago. And as my own framework has evolved, Zach's like, oh shit.
No, I don't remember.
We had a conversation about yeah, about importance, urgency, and compliance inside of qualification. So importance is simply, this is the peak state of getting into the pocket of urgency. And so I've added some of this component into this whole framework, and it's been incredible, the response that I've been getting. The importance is simply 1 out of 10 right? How soon do you want it? Zach knows that
that's
question.
right,
Yeah. Zach and I had a conversation. I started injecting some of this one little surgical piece, right? How fast do you want it? Right? This result, $20,000 a month. Okay, compliance. This is behavior compliance. This is them complying to do the thing you need them to do to get that. Are you willing to show up to the 3-hour war room training on Tuesday so that we can get you there faster? Cool. Are you willing to be coachable? Like literally, you need to respond back to my messages when within 60 minutes, whatever your thing is, or within 24 hours. Like, because I need to make sure you get the result, so I need to know you're going to respond back. Cool. Whatever compliance in your program that you have, we have to get a behavioral compliance, right, to like anchor that in deeper. Thanks, Zach, by the way, for that.
Can I add something to
Yeah,
that?
yeah, please go. Yeah.
This framing, I love that you took it. And
Yeah. It was that one conversation we had. I added to to this piece. Yeah.
what this really does is, you talked about identity earlier. If you can get somebody to make, and Andrew talked about this yesterday, if you can get somebody to make an identity agreement of this is who I am, they will butt up. I think of influences, you're building this corridor. On one side is anxiety, different conversation, not probably the way you're thinking. The other side is cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the most powerful tool for persuasion and influence ever. And so if you can get somebody to make an agreement of this is who I am, in other words, this is who I'm going to be, I'm going to show up.
Yeah.
For them to go against that would be like, it's incredibly stressful, and they just won't.
Yep. For time's sakes, because I've got less than 3 minutes, this is just simply urgency, which is simply how fast. Urgency is, do you want this sooner or later? Do you want this now or do you want this later? Want it now. Okay, cool. I'm going to invite you in. Okay. Normally we take credit card, American Express, or Visa. How do you want to take care of that today? Most people do. Most people pay by this. How do you want to take care of that today? You're leading. It's like you're just closing the deal. They already said yes. There's no more questions. Why would they say no? The only reason they say no is fear. Oh, cool. Like, it's normal. Feel fear. They just normalize it. It's only fear. Cool. I felt fear last week when I made this purchase. I get it. That's the only thing that will come up is fear. Now, I'm not going to go into reframing 1.0, 2.0. That's a whole thing. Identity closing, where you anchor in to their subconscious and talk to the version of them 6 months out, and you reverse engineer that. It's timeline anchoring. It's really powerful. It would take about another hour to go through that, so I won't go through that. What I want to do to end it, actually, how was this? Helpful? Yeah? Cool. Cool. Come on. All right, so I want to do one more thing. I need some the music to come on here. Lisa here? Okay. Well, I think I just clicked a button, Spotify, right? Okay. We got Spotify up? Let's see if it actually works. I got a crazy playlist. All right, y'all, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Oh, yeah. Just feel what you feel. So keep your eyes closed as I'm speaking here. Most of us wait, from my experience, to expand into celebration. We wait until the client lands. We wait until we get the money in the bank account. We wait to celebrate when we can celebrate now. The activation and energy of celebration, of excitement, of enthusiasm is the most powerful energy you can create. It feels fucking amazing. So on the count of 3, in just a moment, I'm going to ask all of you to celebrate. And everyone's going to jump off their seat and celebrate themselves and celebrate for being fucking alive. In 3. All of you just won the fucking Super Bowl. 2. You just won the fucking Super Bowl. 1. All right, celebrate. Here we go. Get up, get up, get up. Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Yeah! We won! Yeah! Yeah! We won! Woo! Ah! We won! Woo! All right. Woo! Huh? More? You want more? Oh, man.
That's why we're not allowed back in Mexico.
Woo! All right, that's it. Why? I got one more little thing, but we don't.
That's what she said.
Okay. All right, I got something. All right, one more thing. One more thing. All of you, close your eyes again. Close your eyes again. Here we go. This is the last thing I'm going to end with. Let's see if we can turn that music up. Actually, it's fine. Close your eyes. So everything is identity of who you believe yourself to be. In the moment, every moment is a chance to reinvent yourself through the words to change your identity moment to moment. And part of selling is an identity. Remember, selling is transformation. So how you show up on the call of your next prospect, the next person you talk to, it's all based on energy and the mindset, the identity that you have, that you embody. So what I'm about to do is we're going to go through a 2-minute sequence of owning the identity of a heart-driven leader, what I call a sales savage. You're going to repeat after me. This is the Manifesto. You're going to repeat after me. And everyone open your arms. Just relax. We're going to get into this. We're going to repeat after me. I am a sales savage. I speak from the soul and not a script.
I speak from the soul and not a script.
I speak from the soul and not a script.
I speak from the soul and not a script.
I close from passion.
Close from passion.
I close from power.
Close from power.
I close from purpose.
Close from purpose.
And I never pressure.
And I never pressure.
Because that's who I am.
Because that's who I am.
Breathe. Because that's who I am.
That's who I am.
I make others feel safe through my energy and who I'm being. I make others feel safe through my energy and who I'm being.
I make others feel safe through my energy and who I'm being.
I lead every call like a transformational ceremony.
I lead every call like a transformational ceremony.
Because that's what they are.
That's what they are.
I am the mirror for them
I am the mirror for them.
that ends the cycle for them to be stuck.
That ends the cycle for them to be stuck.
I will not let them walk away if I know I can change their life.
I will not let them walk away if I know I can change their life.
Because of what's at stake for themselves, their future, and their family.
Because of what's at stake for themselves, their future, and their family.
I stand for their vision and what's possible, not their limitation, because I care.
Stand for the vision and what's possible.
Because I care.
I care enough to say what nobody else will,
I care enough to say what nobody else will.
even if it makes them feel uncomfortable.
Even if it makes them feel uncomfortable.
I lead with rigorous love. Willing to go anywhere and anywhere. To fight for their future. Because I am love. I am confident. I sell from power. I sell from purpose. And I sell from soul. I'm a powerful leader who is here to make this call life-changing for them. Thank you, everybody.